Now we continue with our conversations around the coronavirus disease, now known as COVID-19, as was officially shortened to COVID-19, that is the coronavirus disease of 2019, which is said to have started in Wuhan in China late December. After a few days, it was the World Health Organization did declare this disease as a public health emergency of international concern. After a few months down the line, seeing the unprecedented rate at which coronavirus was spreading, the World Health Organization changed the categorization of this disease to a pandemic. Now, with this word pandemic on social media, mainstream media, so much fear and uncertainty has grappled the population, sending out, people have now been going on frenzies and putting out false and, improper information around COVID-19. And therefore today we are here to help you know what is a myth and what is a fact, what is the truth and what is an untruth about the coronavirus disease of 2019, to better help you know how you can be your first line of defense when it comes to protecting yourself during these uncertain times that we are in the fight against coronavirus. And to help us with this discussion this morning, we have with us Lillian Mutua from the Nairobi County. She is the County Health Promotion Coordinator here in Nairobi County, to help us better understand the myths and the facts around coronavirus. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We're glad you are with us this morning. Now, ever since this pandemic, this coronavirus was declared a pandemic on the 11th of March 2020, so much fear has stricken the public. We all have our own definitions of what it could be, what it could not be. And there's so much misinformation going around about coronavirus, just starting with what it is. Now, looking at, the popular social media, some are saying that, the coronavirus is just another common cold, another common flu out there. That is the first misconception that is there about coronavirus. So let's just start there. What is this coronavirus?
Coronavirus is, as you have rightly said, a disease that has come up in 2019, which started in Wuhan, in China.
Yes.
And with the global spread, thus comes with the panic and the anxiety among population. So when you get the coronavirus disease, you will exhibit some signs and symptoms,
yes,
which are the ones that are the cardinal signs we are looking for. You might have elevated fever, very high temperatures of the body. You might also be having a cough. You could also be sneezing and also having difficulty in breathing. Unlike the other diseases that come with the coronavirus, this one affects the respiratory system. Okay. And most of the people, there is the panic that people have said that once you get the coronavirus disease, you shall not live. You are going to die. Yeah. This is one of the misconceptions. Out of the people who get the coronavirus disease, most of them will survive. But if you are not able to access the health facilities in good time, if you are not able to maybe raise for help, then you might continue complicating further. Okay. Thus the death occurs.
As a result of
Kenya,
delayed
we have
treatment.
seen that out of the confirmed cases, majority of them are still on treatment. Some have tested negative and discharged, while the others are continuing on treatment.
So when it comes to what coronavirus is, it is not just another common cold or another common flu out there. This is a new virus that has stricken the population.
What people should also know is that we have 17 strains of the coronavirus. But the one of 2019 is the latest.
It's a new one, the novel one.
And we cannot say that it is the common cold.
Yes.
Let us look at what a cold is. A cold is when you have the running nose and maybe a cough and a sneeze there. But other respiratory infections are there, like the bronchitis, the pneumonias, and other upper respiratory and lower respiratory tract
Yes.
infections.
All right. So there you have it. The coronavirus is not just another common cold, yeah? And there are so many other strains of the coronavirus, and this is just the most recently discovered one, the novel virus. Now, another misconception that you've just rightfully mentioned is the fact that, you know, once you have contracted this virus, you're going to die. So many people, and especially our children, are the ones who are getting this information because you ask them, what do you know about coronavirus? And they say, you'll die. This misinformation about coronavirus, and maybe you could just tell us about the recovery cases that have been recorded so far in line with coronavirus and the fact that it's not a death sentence.
What we'd first like to say is that it's because of the conception of what people are seeing on social media. I think when we started seeing like the social media platforms when it started in China, there was a lot of misconceptions because of the viral videos and the images that were going around. And even some of them were flagged to be maybe videos or photos of things that had happened much later. But now people are taking advantage of situation and just pegging it on the coronavirus crisis and just sending them left and right. We also had many texts going around which were of fake news. And even like our country, we've been alerted. Don't just push anything on social media,
especially
to
WhatsApp.
Cause alarm. Yes, especially on the WhatsApp, because it brings in a lot of panic, a lot of anxiety with irrelevant news. And for us, when we look at Kenya, we have many people who have been tested. We have many people who are in quarantine, but we have not even had 10 deaths. So it shows that the case fatality rate, the people who die, are not as many. And we'd also like to thank the Ministry of Health for taking quick action.
So there you have it. Coronavirus number 2 is not a death sentence. If anything, we have more recoveries than fatalities on a global scale when it comes to this pandemic. Now, moving on to another myth that is out there about coronavirus is that exposing yourself to high temperatures. And this is mostly hot baths that is going to help you prevent coronavirus because it cannot live in high temperatures. And you find people are now resorting to extreme hot baths just to try and, you know, protect themselves from contracting coronavirus. Is that safe to start with?
This is one of the myths.
Yes.
And what you should know is that whether you are going to have a very hot shower, there will be steam that is accumulated in that room.
Yes.
Just like when you go for a steam bath. And this helps when you maybe inhale that steam. Then if you had a congestion in your lungs, then you're able to maybe cough and let it out. And even just like the people who get pneumonia or severe chest infection, when we know that their chest is congested, we give them the steam inhalation. So people should not think that this is going to do it. For example, even if you went to a very, maybe to have a hot shower and you did not use soap and you had the coronavirus somewhere attached on your skin,
it's still going to live.
It's still going to be there.
All right.
Yes.
So hot baths are good, but they're not a solution.
Exactly. And people are also pegging that if you have the coronavirus in the environment or anywhere on your body, and you are also exposed to high temperatures in the environment, then the virus will die. I just want to alert people, like in Iran and Iraq, they have also reported some cases, and those places are extremely hot.
Yes.
In some parts of Asia, in India, it's also extremely hot, hotter than Kenya, but they've also seen the same cases rise.
All right. Yes. So this is not going to be a preventative measure. Yet it might help and block your if you have any issues to do with your bronchus, but it is not a preventative measure when it comes to dealing with coronavirus. The best thing is to go to a medical facility for confirmation. Now, you have just mentioned Iran, and, you know, speaking of Iran, there was a case that was reported sometime, I think it was in February, where there were 44 people who actually drank bootleg alcohol in an effort to because they believe that it's going to protect them from contracting coronavirus, and ultimately they died. Bringing it home to Kenya, just the other day, there were a few individuals who actually robbed a lorry thinking it had alcohol, and it had a different chemical, which they ultimately drank and they thought is going to prevent coronavirus. When it comes to this, connection between alcohol and coronavirus. Is there any truth to it? And this is, by alcohol, we mean bootleg alcohol that people consume.
We have seen that this is derived from when we say that the sanitizers contain 60% to 70% alcohol.
Yeah.
That is not the type of alcohol that people take as a drink.
Yeah.
This is methanol alcohol. That is a chemical substance. So if you think that you're going to take the alcohol and be free of the coronavirus, then we are wrong.
We are very wrong.
We are very wrong.
Taking changa is not going to prevent anything.
And if you can also take a lot of alcohol and you become hypoglycemic, your sugars go down, then you die.
Then you die. A death that could have been avoided if you just followed what the directives from the Ministry of Health are. So there is no truth when it comes to alcohol and coronavirus, and especially the alcohol that is contained in some of these chemicals that are used to sanitize the outer parts of the body.
Exactly. And just like we had seen some pictures going viral on WhatsApp,
yes,
that if you don't have a sanitizer, instead of washing your hands, you can wash your hands with alcohol. The alcohol content in beer and spirits might not be as high as the one in the sanitizer.
So it might not be as helpful.
You are not doing any good to yourself.
You're not doing any good to yourself. All right. Now, another myth that is circulating out there comes to humans. You know, we all know that it started in China, and it did affect the western side of the divide more than before it got to the African side of the divide. And so as a result, people started saying that, you know, this coronavirus, you know, if you are dark-skinned, you're immune to it. You know, you're not going to get it, until the cases started spilling in. But still people are saying if you are dark-skinned or if you're African, you are protected from coronavirus. Tell us a bit about that.
We have seen the numbers of cases rising in Africa. We've even seen the numbers of the blacks even in other countries where people are affected. The only thing that we should know is that the coronavirus does not look at the social class, the financial levels of a person, whether it's a continent or anything.
Yes.
You will still get. So let us be very careful when we are giving some of this information. Just to be careful and understand what the ministry tells you is from a scientific point of view, and even researches that are going on since the coronavirus was discovered. So let us be very careful of what information we are giving to each other. If we have seen that in Kenya we are having cases, in the East African countries, we have a number of cases, and the cases are on the rise. Then this means that even the black person is not any peculiar.
So people should stop being careless about, you know, this myth, especially when it comes to color, because it has sort of propagated some sense of carelessness among the population. People are just continuing with business as usual. As long as you think you're dark-skinned, you're protected. There's some sense of carelessness that has come with this myth among the population.
Exactly. And even like the other day, we were down in the community, and the youths were telling us that the people who will be affected are the very young children and the elderly, because their immune system is wanting. And being youth, then they think that they are going to overcome. Let us just be careful and take all the precaution measures, because once we've even seen from our data, we've had youth who have been affected. The youngest has been the 4-year-old, and the eldest has been the 71. We've had people who are 20, people who are 30, mid-30s, early 30s getting infected. These are all youth. So let us not take chances thinking that we'll be doing good.
All right. Now, let's move on to another misconception that, you know, I came across on social media. And this is sort of more of a human tendency, because when you tend to have, you know, common colds at home, we resort to self-medicating. Most of us don't go to hospitals. And now people are resorting to antibiotics as a preventative measure to help protect themselves from contracting coronavirus. First of all, the difference between bacterial infections and viral infections, and given that coronavirus is a viral infection, tell us a bit about that.
Well, even for the common colds, and that is why when you have a common cold, you'll be requested to maybe have some good sleep, not to have a lot of activity. If possible, stay indoors or stay in bed. Take a lot of fluids and keep warm. It's because once you're attacked by a virus, there's no virus that has a cure. And if there's any virus that could be having a cure. We've done so much research on the HIV world, and we have not yet gotten any cure. Even for the simple common cold, it is the other complications that might rise that are given preference for you to be given any medication. And this also brings a complication, especially among our populations. If you go to a hospital and you're told this is a common cold, maybe you're told just take plenty of water. If you are maybe complaining about some body ache or some headache, you're given some few painkillers, and you're told just go home, have a rest, take plenty of fluids, and take a lot of vitamins, maybe the fruits and the vegetables. People feel offended, and they go over the counters to buy antibiotics. A virus cannot be cured by taking antibiotics. Maybe only if you are having a cold and you start having a sore throat, or we listen to your chest and get maybe you've developed a pneumonia, then you can be given an antibiotic. For the coronavirus, we know that even people have been reading on social media where we are being told this drug has worked in this country, this was tried and it worked. And you find people are just walking to the chemist and buying these drugs and stocking them in their houses. Neither do they even want to inquire when is the expiry date, so that maybe when the shelf life is over, they can throw them. They are not looking at that. Some people are already even dosing themselves with antibiotics. It is good for them to note that with time, they might be getting some resistance from these drugs. And maybe a drug that would have helped you out if you have another condition in the future, it might not work out for you. Because your body is so used to it. Yes, so this is not time for just taking any other medication. And let us be careful. If you've taken a lot of antibiotics, a lot of medicine, then when you test positive and you start having the complications, which medications will we start you on? And your body has already built up resistance. Exactly. Now, speaking of some of these over-the-counter drugs, you know, there's this whole facade that is revolving around this chloroquine, malaria drug. And, you know, we did hear the minister, the DG from the ministry did say that, you know, it is one of the drugs that is being used to treat the symptoms that our patients are presenting, you know, with coronavirus. But you find people are also self-medicating with chloroquine. What are the consequences of this? Chloroquine is not a new drug in this country. And let us reflect. We are a country that has incidences of malaria, especially in the coast, in the western and in the Nyanza region, the Rift Valley, places like Baringo, where once in a while we have high numbers of malaria, even causing deaths. And we have known that in the past, we used to use chloroquine, both tablet and injection. And we formed some resistance because anybody could just think the signs and symptoms are having, that is malaria. Instead of going to the hospital to get a lab test, they went over the counter and we misused the drug. So let us also be careful that we are still repeating the same pattern. It could have the drug that is being used could be having a base of the chloroquine, but might not be the very chloroquine that you're taking. Specifically. And if we've already had resistance cases of chloroquine drug in our country, then let us just totally stop abusing that drug. Let us stop self-medicating at home. Exactly. If you present any symptoms that you think could be pointing towards coronavirus, the best option is to go to a medical facility. Exactly. For confirmation. And giving yourself the chloroquine if you think you are exhibiting the symptoms is not going to help. We have said that this is a respiratory tract infection. It needs to be looked at as that. So the chloroquine will not come in for the respiratory complications. All right. Now, speaking of home remedies, there's also these other myths that are circulating about traditional home concoctions that we tend to use when we are having colds or flus. We always resort to these concoctions that we make at home, mixed of garlic with ginger and lemon, boil it. You have a very nice concoction. But now people are resorting to eating raw garlic, saying that, you know, this ni defense tosha. This is going to help me not contract coronavirus. Your thoughts on that? I think we have a lot of nutrition factors embedded in different foods that once in a while when you take, they trigger boosting the immune system,
yeah.
but they are not curative measures. We also have others like the lemon, the orange, the ginger and such, and the garlics and honey, which we know that all of them have some nutritional component, especially the micronutrients, the vitamins. So once you take that, you might be boosting your vitamin content.
Yeah.
You could also be triggering the immune system to respond, but it is not a cure. Some of them, like the honey, the ginger, hot water, if you take and you had something up on your throat, it soothes,
yeah.
but it does not treat.
So some of these home remedies, yes, they have microbial properties that are good for your immune system, but they are not a sense of defense when it comes to the coronavirus.
Exactly.
So don't just take that and say, since I took this concoction this morning, I will not put on a mask, I will not sanitize my hands because my immunity is top-notch. No. You're going to dig yourself in a hole that you will not be able to get yourself out of. Now, there's also this other misconception about children and the fact that, you know, you had touched on it a bit, but people are also saying, you know, that children are immune to this disease. You know, we haven't had so many cases about children, but of course, in the recent past, there have been cases of children contracting this virus and even a fatality, but still people are saying, you know, children are, they're immune to this thing, so let them play. I mean, they're at home, let them go out and play, mingle, interact with each other without any protective measures put in place. Tell us a bit about this. How is this a problem?
This is a misconception, and we have said that the coronavirus can attack anybody, regardless of age, regardless of sex, regardless of race. And let us keep our children safe. Like we have said, that is why the children, if the children were immune, we would not even have closed the schools. We would have let them be. But because we know that there is a post-risk, that is why even they were told to stay home, so that they can be kept indoors, not outdoors. Let us look at the activities that children will go about. You find that children, when playing, can touch any surface. They will touch each other. They'll not keep the social distance. And if one of them is infected, then the rest will get the infection.
And take it back home.
And take it back home, and then also infect the other members in the house. So let's be very careful. Children are not exempted from this. Let us keep them safe. Let us teach them all the interventions. And the beautiful thing is, today, if you walk into a household, when you're coming home, maybe from work or you had gone out, it is your children who remind you to wash your hands. Once they are given information, it's very dear to them and they follow. So it is maybe we who are letting the children down.
So we need to be careful with when it comes to protecting them, especially because they might not be as empowered or as knowledgeable about coronavirus. So don't let your children just keep playing as if things are normal out there. Keep them in the house. Find ways to keep them occupied as opposed to just say, you know, let them go play. They are immune to this. No, they are not. And that is why schools were the first institutions that were closed when it came to this dealing with coronavirus. Now, another misconception that revolves around coronavirus is how it is transmitted. And some are saying that, you know, as long as I have a face mask and gloves, I'm well protected because they think that coronavirus is airborne.
People should distinguish between the two. Coronavirus is a droplet infection. It is not airborne. It needs a medium. It needs a medium. But the molecules of this virus are heavy. So if I'm infected or someone is infected with the coronavirus, then as we talk, like the way we are talking now, if either of us was infected, as we talk, there are some small particles of the droplets that are coming from our mouth. When we sneeze the same, when we cough the same, when we are laughing the same, they will look for a surface to go and attach on. So it could be my clothes, it could be the book that I'm holding, it could be my phone, whatever surface, it could be the furniture. So from there, if you are not going to maintain your hand hygiene and you come to a surface that has the virus and pick it up, and maybe in a while, you'll be touching on your mouth or your lips, maybe poking your nose or rubbing your eye. That thin mucosa, the lining, that is the very good place for it to enter. So it will not go through your very hard skin. It will not go through your hair, but the mucosa, the very light lining of your body. So when this happens, it is not airborne. If coronavirus was airborne, most of us would not be negative. We'd all be infected by now, because whatever is airborne circulates with the air. And just a good example is that when a car emits some fume as it passes near you, that fume is going to mix with the air that is around, and you will feel, first you'll feel the smell, then the irritation. Why? Because it is in the air and you have inhaled.
And it enters your body system so easily.
So if that was the same case with the coronavirus, then so many people would have been infected by now. So let us look at our hand hygiene. Let us look at our coughing and sneezing etiquette. Let us also, like now we know that we are having the community circulation. And when you look at people, maybe when they are going around their businesses, we are not also maintaining our social distance as B. So this is another also measure just to top up on the social distance. So if I was affected, I will put on a mask so that if I'm talking, I'm not emitting the same into the environment and the people who are near me, so that they do not also get it.
All right. What about those people who are still, you know, yes, they're putting on gloves, they're putting on masks, but you find they keep repeating the masks without cleaning them if they can't be washed, and they each still wearing the same gloves that they have worn the entire day. After an entire day of working, or, you know, you've been working since morning, you just go sit somewhere and you start eating with the same gloves that you have been wearing and using to touch all these other surfaces.
Number one, we have different types of gloves. Not gloves, masks.
Masks.
There are those which are disposable, and we are having the ones that we have been encouraged. If you don't have the disposable masks or the required surgical masks,
by the reusable
or the
ones.
Yes, any of the recommended, then you can make artificial masks to protect you and to protect others. There's even a way to put them on. Before you put on your clean mask, you're supposed to either wash your hands or sanitize, and then put on the mask.
And the face as well? Before you get to put on this mask,
no,
do you
just
need to clean your face?
You don't need to clean your face. You only need, because you are protecting yourself from maybe emitting the virus, or also if any of the environment that is near you, maybe a person is near you and talking, and this virus comes, it should not land near your nose or your mouth.
All right.
And when you're doing that, you first, like I said, sanitize or wash your hands, and you touch the edges, where either you have the loop or the loops.
Yeah.
And
go over your ear.
Go over your ear. If it is the one of tying, you tie a bit higher on your head, and the mask should be covering your nose and should be covering below your knee, your chin. We have seen people who put on the mask, and when they want to talk, they are bringing them down.
Beating the purpose.
And you find that someone is telling you, I cannot breathe. So I need to put it out at a certain time and return it. As you do that, in case the outer side was contaminated with the virus, when you're pushing it up, what are you doing? Bringing it near the environment where the infection occurs.
So we need to stop this habit of tucking it under our chin right here, and then after you're done, you just pull it back up.
It is very bad.
Very dangerous.
And also, the outer side, you should not touch it. And that is why we are saying, even when removing, sanitize your hands, touch the loops and remove. And if it is a washable mask, hang it somewhere, so that after you've done what you wanted to do, you can remove it. If you need it to keep it before you wash it, kindly put the outside to be tuck it in, and let the inside part be outside until the time you're going to wash it.
All right.
If it is the disposable one, still do the same. Tuck it in, take the straps and tie it, and dispose it carefully.
And
because you've seen some people just dropping them anywhere. This also becomes a very good environment for spreading the infection.
All right.
Yes.
And how long does this virus, how long can it survive outside the human host? Because they use the human body as a host. How long can it survive on surfaces?
Research is still being done, and still coming up with new findings. We've seen that they have said on certain fabrics, it can last to 2 to 4 hours. On your hands, because of the, if you are practicing the hand washing, then as you put the soap or the sanitizer, it is also destroyed. On wooden surfaces, it could stay to up to 6 hours.
6 hours.
And longer on metallic surfaces.
Right.
So it depends if it is a cloth, the fabric type, and also what has gone there. If it was too much of maybe the droplet, which was heavy, maybe having some saliva, it will last longer as it dries. And the research is still ongoing. As we have said, this is a new virus, still undergoing research. And as situations unfold in different places, then research is still being done.
Right.
So we are yet to be informed in most of these aspects.
All right. Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, there's also been this misunderstanding about how it also is still falling under the tab of how it is transmitted. There's also so much untruth and misinformation about how it's transmitted, and this is now when it comes to pets and other animals. Some are saying that mosquito bites can transmit this virus, and others are saying other household pets, cats and dogs, can also transmit this virus, the human-animal interaction. And especially after we heard of this tiger in New York, which is said to have tested positive for coronavirus. What is the relationship between this human-animal transmission of coronavirus?
These are called the zoonotic diseases.
Yeah.
For coronavirus, this has not been established yet. As we have said, it is droplets. And there is no confirmed research saying that our pets will harbor the same.
Okay.
I know in other instances, this can be confirmed, but the research that is currently ongoing, this has not been established. What we know is that all our environments, including our furniture, our houses and everywhere, because we know that is where the droplets will embed.
Yeah.
Let us just keep them safe. I do not expect that you will stay for long without even washing your pet.
Yeah.
This should also be done. Let us keep our environment safe. Let us keep everything that is around us just safe.
So the human-animal interaction bit is yet to have conclusive results.
Exactly.
As is, we need to stop speculating and stop distancing ourselves from our pets. Let's keep them clean, because at the end of the day, cleanliness is going to be our first line of defense. Now, speaking of lines of defense, what are some of those prevention mechanisms that we need to adopt? We have been hearing them from the Ministry of Health, World Health Organization, and all other medical entities emphasizing on some of these, preventative measures that we need to adopt to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Briefly, as we close the conversation.
Let us continue to wash our hands. Number one, hand washing.
Yeah.
Let us wash our hands. A sanitizer becomes a second priority
defense,
if you are not able to have the soap and running water. At that point, let us also desist putting on gloves, because as we put on the gloves for the long hours, touching each and every other surface, if we had the virus on those gloves, then it means everywhere that we are touching, including our own items like the laptops, the phones, our handbags, we are leaving the virus there. So the glove becomes a very good environment. I think even when I'm walking in the streets, I've requested a lot of people to remove
them.
I think once someone sees someone doing something, they also do the same. Then let us also have the cough etiquette, the sneezing etiquette. Let us also remember that if we have any of the signs, like the rising body temperatures, very high fevers, which is not going off, we are having a cough that is not ending, we start sneezing, very irritative sneeze, and which is continuous. And if we even have, at times we will not even have those three, you could just suddenly start having difficulty in breathing. Kindly don't sit down and say, let me observe. Kindly call 719. A response team will be sent to you wherever you are. We'll be able to collect the samples, and we'll also look at if you meet the case definition, and we'll be able to take you to a health facility. The other thing is that if you think you have those signs, even if you're in a household or in a workplace or where some other people are, you are not alone, kindly start isolating yourself so that you don't continue. Maybe if you're coughing, you are still coughing and emitting the same way the other people are. It breaks the transmission. Let us also observe the curfew hours. Why we are doing this, it's also part of the social distancing, because we found out prior to this, people were not going to work because they had been told to go home, and those who are at work were coming back home, and people were converging in different sites, just maybe to talk. People in the evening are going to visit other places, maybe their neighbors, their friends, because maybe they have taken a whole day at home. And this is also being put so that we can flatten this curve so that the cases can also go down.
Okay.
For the places that are having, and let me also correct, there is no county or place in Kenya where we have put a lockdown. What we are having is restricted movement. I've even had some media houses across saying that the other counties, that is Mombasa, Kilifi, and Kwale, they are going for a lockdown. This is not a lockdown. We're only restricting movement. And for those who are maybe restricted to come into these counties, we saw yesterday on media, some people are even trying to use the Panya route.
Yeah.
You could have been safe wherever you are. And now by doing what you are doing, coming back to counties where we are reporting high cases, then you are exposing yourself.
Okay.
And even I was looking at the people who are, like the clips we were seeing of people coming back to Nairobi. They don't have masks. They are not observing social distance. Then, leave alone the ones in Nairobi, that group that was being showed in footage, in case one of them had the infection, what could be going around?
All right.
So let us just be cautious. Kenyans should stop being assumptuous and let us listen to the right information being given through by the Ministry of Health, and let us not push a lot of media, social media, that brings a lot of anxiety all over.
Let's follow the information that we are being given by the mainstream media coming from the Ministry of Health. And one more thing, is the cough that related to coronavirus productive or dry? Or it could be either? It
could be either,
okay,
depending on maybe someone has other infections.
All right.
So long as you've had a cough that you cannot resist.
That is persistent?
That is persistent.
Okay.
Kindly just go for attention.
All right.
And going for attention, we're also requesting people, don't leave your house going to the hospital. Because if you are positive and you have not been tested, as you mingle with the other persons, you are also spreading the virus. So just stay contained. Call 719. We'll give you the attention that you need.
All right, so there you have it. We hope after this discussion you are better positioned to know what is a truth about coronavirus and what is a misconception about coronavirus. Remember, you are your first line of defense, and you need to just follow these basic rules and that are being put, these basic measures, not rules, measures that are being put in place to help curb and flatten this curve of infection when it comes to coronavirus. Follow the directives that are being given by the Ministry of Health, which are of course in line with the World Health Organization. And at the end of the day, we are going to bring this menace, this pandemic to a close. Remember, the virus does not move. You are the one who move it. You and I are the ones who are capable of moving this virus. So let's minimize our movement. Do not leave the house if you do not need to, and protect yourself. Be your first line of defense. We have been speaking with Lillian Mutua, who is the County Health Promotion Coordinator here in Nairobi County, helping set the record straight when it comes to myths and misconceptions and also the truths about coronavirus. We want to take a quick break, but remember, keep talking to us using the hashtag GoodMorningKenya on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. My handle is Jane Wamboy, and for those who are not able to, access a TV or a TV for that matter, you can always catch us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Follow the conversations, share with us your thoughts and comments in regards to these discussions that we are bringing to you on during this live broadcast. So do stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.